For more on the trip, I spoke to Emira Woods. She's an associate fellow at the Institute for Policy Studies. She said the trip vividly demonstrates the importance China places on Africa.
Well, I think it's phenomenal that the Chinese foreign minister, for now 20 years, makes their first state official visit to the African continent. And I think it is extraordinary that this practice has been upheld, and it just seems kind of even more fitting now that China is out front, reaffirming its commitment to engagement with the African continent, reaffirming its interest in sort of long-term economic engagement and opportunities with the continent.
Right now, how would you describe China-Africa ties relations?
I think China-Africa ties have been first and foremost economic. But China is actually really savvy because China is looking not to sort of give aid and assistance, but as an investor that will reap returns. And so I think there is a lot of discussion now as to what the long-term benefits are to China and the extent to which those long-term benefits are also accruing to the countries where this infrastructure development, again, whether it's the ports or the railways, are actually benefiting people now and for future generations.
You know, Wang Yi had said recently that the African people are in the best position to decide who is Africa's true friend and most reliable partner. But then we heard those disparaging remarks that Donald Trump made about some African countries. Does this move Africa closer or even closer to Africa? And how would you say it views the United States at the moment?
The U.S. Relationship with Africa was never great under this administration, quite frankly, where there are a number of senior posts, whether in the State Department, in U.S. Agency for International Development, in key posts. These Africa posts have remained vacant, even 1 year into this administration. So the relationship was never great with this administration, and it has, to say the least, soured dramatically with these racist comments coming forward, reported from the president. So I think there is a real contrast with China doing this multi-country tour, putting forward issues of mutual interests and reaffirming mutual respect at this time when respect seems to be furthest from the agenda of the Trump administration.
You mentioned investment and development, infrastructure, One Belt, One Road, obviously a big part of what China is doing, and Africa has an important part as well. What do you make about some of the progress on that front? And I also want to ask you about some security concerns that, security concerns for both Chinese and Africans working for Chinese companies.
You have security concerns that rise when concerns around labor rights, when concerns around environmental protection, when these concerns are sort of at the forefront. And I think we have to continue to look at how to bring a real kind of equilibrium in terms of the benefits of the investment, particularly for communities, for workers, a real equilibrium in terms of the impact on particularly climate change and environmental damage and minimizing environmental damage. I think it is these kind of long-term commitments that would bring about a lessening of the tension, regardless of what country on the continent the investment is coming in.